Hi everyone, and welcome to Learn English Through Stories. Today, we will hear a fun and meaningful story called The Boy Who Couldn't Say No. Listening to this story will not only help improve your English but also teach you some valuable life lessons. You will also learn new words along the way. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Once upon a time, there was a kind boy named Tom. He loved helping people and making others happy. But he had a big problem. He could never say no. Every time someone asked for his help, he always said yes, even when it made him tired or unhappy. One morning, as Tom walked to school, his friend Ben ran up to him and said, "Tom, carry my bag." Tom's own bag was already heavy, but he smiled and said, "Okay." At lunchtime, Lisa sat next to Tom and said, "Tom, I forgot my lunch. Give me your sandwich." Even though Tom was hungry, he still said, "Okay." After school, Sam waved at Tom and asked, "Tom, do my homework." Tom wanted to go outside and play, but he still replied, "Okay." All day, Tom kept saying yes, and every day, he felt more tired, more frustrated, and more unhappy. That night, as Tom lay in bed, his arms felt weak, and his head ached. He stared at the ceiling and thought, "Why do I always say yes?" He sighed, pulled the blanket over his head, and whispered, "I wish I could say no." Then, he closed his eyes and fell asleep. The next day, Tom visited his grandmother's house. Grandma was baking big, warm, sweet-smelling cookies. Tom sat at the table and said, "Grandma, I have a problem. I can't say no." Grandma smiled and said, "Oh dear, that is a problem." She took out a fresh cookie and handed it to Tom. "Eat this, my boy," she said. Tom smiled because he loved cookies. But just as he was about to take a bite, Grandma leaned forward and asked, "Tom, give me your cookie." Tom froze. He looked at the cookie in his hand. He wanted it, but he always said yes. Slowly, he handed it to Grandma and said, "Okay." Grandma laughed and gave it back to him. "See," she said. "You need to learn when to say no." Tom took a big bite of the cookie and asked, "But how, Grandma?" Grandma winked and said, "I will teach you a secret." Grandma sat next to Tom and explained, "Listen, Tom. The word no is small, but it is powerful. If you say yes to everything, you will be tired, hungry, and sad." Tom nodded because he knew it was true. Grandma continued, "But if you say no sometimes, you will be strong and happy." Tom thought for a moment and asked, "But what if my friends get angry?" Grandma laughed and said, "Good friends will understand. Try it. The next time you don't want to do something, just say no." Tom took a deep breath and said, "Okay, Grandma. I will try." The next day at school, Tom faced his first test. At lunchtime, Lisa ran up to him and said, "Tom, give me your sandwich." Tom felt nervous. He always said yes, but then he remembered Grandma's words. He took a deep breath and said, "No, Lisa. This is my lunch." Lisa blinked in surprise. "Oh, okay," she said. Tom felt something new inside him. He felt strong. Later, after school, Sam asked, "Tom, do my homework." Tom almost said yes, but then he stopped himself. "No, Sam. Do your own homework." Sam frowned, but Tom shook his head and repeated, "No." Sam sighed and said, "Fine." Tom smiled to himself. That was easier than he thought. That evening, Tom faced his biggest challenge yet. As he walked home, Ben, the biggest boy in class, ran up to him. Ben never took no for an answer. "Tom, carry my bag," Ben said. Tom's heart pounded. This was his biggest test. Ben stared at him, waiting. Tom took a deep breath, looked at Ben's heavy bag, and felt his tired feet. He thought of Grandma's words and then looked straight into Ben's eyes. "No," Tom said firmly. Silence filled the air. Ben raised an eyebrow. "What did you say?" Tom took a step forward and repeated, "I said no." Ben was shocked. For a moment, he looked angry, but then he laughed. "Wow, Tom. You never say no. That's cool." Then, Ben picked up his own bag and ran away. Tom stood there, feeling stronger and happier than ever before. For the first time in his life, he felt free. Excited, Tom ran to Grandma's house. "Grandma. I did it. I said no." Grandma clapped her hands and said, "I am proud of you, Tom." Tom smiled brightly. "Now, I can say yes when I want and no when I need to." Grandma laughed and said, "That is the secret, my boy." From that day forward, Tom was still a kind boy, but now he was strong too, because he had learned the magic word, no. The moral of this story is simple but important. Being kind is good, but saying no is okay too. If you say yes to everything, you will be tired, hungry, and sad. But when you learn to say no, you will be strong, happy, and respected. Good friends will understand and respect your decisions. Great job, everyone. You have just listened to The Boy Who Couldn't Say No. What did you learn from the story? Have you ever had a time when you found it hard to say no? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining today's story session. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.